Dear friends, I'm here to talk to you about a very important issue impacting the diamond industry. A fundamental aspect of the diamond business is that consumers need to trust the people who are selling them the diamonds. Diamonds are rather complicated. They come in many sizes, colors, clarities, and there's a lot about the specific physical aspects of a diamond that consumers worry about. They want to know that when they're sold the diamonds, they're getting the right color and the right clarity and the other gemological characteristics that are explained to them. Essentially, consumers go to jewelers to make sure that there's someone in their court. There's someone working for them. Now, in the 1950s, the Gemological Institute of America implemented grading standards. Essentially, they came up with the D to Z color system. They came up with internally flawless VVS1, VVS2. And so these gemological terms, this language was given to the diamond industry by the Gemological Institute of America, a nonprofit organization. It was something very specific because the trade and consumers could send the diamond to the Gemological Institute of America and find out exactly what the GI meant when they graded a diamond as an F color. You send stones in and you see, does it come back an F, does it come back a G, and you know what the color is. Now, the idea of the GIA was not just to grade diamonds, but to provide a high level of consumer confidence to the diamond industry. And it's very powerful. Because if someone is going to India or Israel or Belgium to buy a diamond, and they buy a diamond with a GIA grading report, they will have confidence that that report and that diamond and that quality can be resold to retailers and sold to consumers. Now, the reason I'm here to talk with you today is because of this problem that has come up with some laboratories grading diamonds using GIA language and terminology, but applying different standards. So here you'd have a diamond that another grading laboratory called EGL International would grade as, say, an F color. And when that stone is submitted to the GIA for verification, it may come back as an N color or a K color. 4 or 5 color clarities different. So now, this is a serious problem. A consumer goes to a jeweler, sees a diamond grading report with the color F on it, doesn't know and understand that the EGL International F is applying a completely different standard than the GIA, buys the diamond thinking it's an F or close to an F, and really it's 5 colors less. A tremendous difference in the quality of the diamond and the value of the diamond and the price of the diamond. The misrepresentation of diamond quality by laboratories that overgrade diamonds poses a significant threat to the diamond industry. Hundreds of thousands of consumers have purchased more than $1 billion of overgraded diamonds. While there does not appear to be any imminent threat of these consumers returning their diamonds en masse, the fact is that those diamonds are out there, and consumers think they're better than they are. The fundamental idea of honest grading is that we communicate the quality of the diamond honestly and fairly within the trade, to the retailers, and also, of course, to consumers. A written document attesting to the quality of the diamonds must be accurate and not misleading. The diamond trade must understand that the confidence that consumers have with us is the basic foundation of our business. If people can't trust the retailers, how can they buy diamonds? How can they spend thousands of dollars on diamonds if they can't trust that the person selling them the diamond is telling them the truth about the quality of the diamond? So honest grading isn't optional. Honest grading is the essence of our business. And therefore, we must come up with a fundamental way to deal with the issue of honest grading. The Rapaport Group is taking a very clear position here. If anyone uses the GIA terminology to describe a diamond, they have to use the GIA standard. Or else they're overgrading the diamond. They're misrepresenting the diamond. Forgive me for saying, they're lying about the quality of the diamond. The second rule is that diamond suppliers are responsible for the quality of the diamonds that they sell. If a seller sells you a diamond and says it's an F color, and it comes back from the GA as an H, an I, a J, a K, the seller must take the diamond back. If the seller sells you a diamond and tells you that it's not synthetic, and it turns out synthetic, or that it's not treated and it turns out to be treated, it's understandable. The seller has to take the diamond back. So why would we allow sellers to misrepresent the color and the clarity? Now what's happening is that people are trying to make money in the diamond industry, and of course that's acceptable. But the problem is with the amount of transparency we have in the industry, with GIA grading, a Rapaport price list, Blue Nile, and other retailers all over the internet, people are saying, how am I going to make money? What can I do? Now it is very unfortunate that some of the people in the industry believe that if you can't beat them, you can confuse them. So the name of the game became one of, well, I can't offer you that same price, this and that, but I can offer you a different grading standard, I can offer you a different type of grading report. So I will take my wonderful consumer who's getting engaged, who is getting an anniversary gift, and say, you know what? I can't beat you in the price, I'll confuse you on the quality. And that's what's been going on. This is unacceptable. Now there's a lot of issues that are coming up because of this EGL International story and this question of overgrading. Now the first issue is EGL International saying there is no such thing as a diamond standard. Anybody can say whatever they want. We of course counter this. We say no. If you're using GIA terminology, you have to use GIA standards. GIA standards have been around since the 1950s. So don't go and tell me there's no diamond grading standard. That's nonsense. It's a lie. Straightforward. It's a lie. So some people say, listen, diamond grading is subjective. So even if you take the same diamond, you give it back to the GIA, you might get a different grading. And that's true. An F might become a G. But there's no question that there is a grading standard within a certain tolerance range. There's no way you give a stone back to the GIA that was an F and they come back and they tell you it's a K. Doesn't happen. Never happens. Take 100 gemologists, line them up, show them K colors. None of them will say it's an F. It'll never happen. So this idea that because diamond grading is subjective, you can take the GIA grading system, its language, its terminology, its grading standards, and throw it all in the garbage and say, well, there's no standard. Well, there's no, everything's subjective. This is false. This is unacceptable. And I believe it's simply an attempt by sellers to confuse their customers so they can overcharge them on price by giving them lower qualities. Now some people come along with the idea and they say, well, you know, I never said that the diamond was an F color. No, it wasn't me. They, the GL International, they said it. And they think they're protected. They think it's okay if they do such a thing. Well, it's not, because the seller of the diamond is responsible for what you sell. So if you're a retailer and you go back to court and you say, well, when someone complains and said, I bought that F from you, I sent it to the GIA, it came back a K color, give me a refund, and you think you can say, well, no, you know, it had an EGL International, forget about it. As a retailer, you are responsible to the consumer for the quality that you told them the diamond was. And it's a GIA terminology, it's a GIA quality. Now, if you want to go to court and fight about that and spend even more money, welcome to. But recognize you will be held accountable for triple damages on the quality difference of the stone. So don't misrepresent when you're selling diamonds. The retailer might think, well, I can just give it back to my supplier. No, 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 no. The law in the United States is such that if you are a jeweler, you are deemed to be an expert. And if you're an expert, that means you know the quality of the diamond was not the GIA quality. Now, some people say, well, you know, I sold this diamond, and it was an EGL, and it said F, but it was really a K, or something like a K. And, you know, I charge a low price. So if I charge a low price, don't bother me. It's fair. I charged a low price, therefore the consumer can't complain. Not so. It's simply not true. The consumer was incentivized to buy the diamond because you made them feel they were getting a good deal. And if the deal wasn't a good deal, which it really wasn't probably, and even if it was a good deal, the fact is he thought he was buying an F or something like an F, and you delivered him a K. Doesn't fly. Consider the story of Rick Schoten. Now, Rick Schoten was a very interesting jeweler. He was one of the first jewelers in the United States to sell Yehuda fracture-filled diamonds. Those are diamonds where they seep a certain material into the diamond that then makes the crack disappear. Essentially, it has the same refractive index or close to it as diamond. Now, when he sold those treated diamonds to the consumers, he didn't tell them they were treated, but he did give them a very good price. And when one of the consumers went to visit an appraiser, the appraiser looked at the diamond, noticed the doubleau effect, and then went back and told the consumer, look, I'm very sorry, but the diamond you showed me here is a treated diamond. The consumer was shocked, very upset. I bought a diamond, it's my engagement ring, and you're telling me it's treated. It can't be, no one told me. And so they went back to Rick Schoten and they said, I want to return the diamond. And Rick Schoten was a mensch. He wasn't a terrible person. He bought the diamond back. He said, sure, I'll give you a refund, no problem. And word got out, it got onto television, and they started talking about these fracture-filled treated diamonds. And a line came up around the place of the appraiser, the office of the appraiser. And hundreds of diamonds were found out to be treated. The consumers brought the diamonds back to Rick Schoten. Rick Schoten took his personal life savings of $1 million or so and refunded and refunded and refunded until he ran out of money. And by that time, the Attorney General of Missouri had come after him and demanded that he give refunds, and the news was out there already, and everyone was bringing back their diamonds to him, and of course his reputation suffered. And he felt very bad. So bad that he drank jewelry cleaner and killed himself. Rick Schoten died, age of 44, because he thought that what he was doing was okay, selling a product without disclosing the quality correctly and giving the consumer a good price. Now, I don't think, first of all, Rick must have been a decent guy if he was willing to kill himself over this issue. He must have had a tremendous sense of ethical responsibility and a big conscience. But, you know, what can we learn from this? I mean, did Rick Schoten really die for nothing? Is our industry going to be in a position where we're going to come back with this absurd claim that you can lie about the quality of a diamond if you give someone what you think is a good price? You can't lie about anything when you're selling a diamond. But let's look a little deeper. Imagine you're a retailer selling GIA stones, F colors, and you're charging, I don't know, $10,000 for a stone. The consumer comes to you, looks at the stuff, $10,000, very nice, goes across the street, someone shows him an EGLF color, it's only $5,000 or $4,000. Now the consumer doesn't really understand the nuances of grading, doesn't understand the nuances, the differences between GIA and EGL International, but the consumer does understand $10,000 here, $5,000 there, and where do you think the consumer buys? By the guy who's selling him the diamond cheaper. Because money the consumer understands, diamond quality, diamond grading report differences, not so much. Now what is the honest guy to do? The guy selling F, he sees the consumers going to his competitor day after day, again and again, and tell me something, what is that guy going to do? He's going to go out of business because he's going to be ethical. Some will. Some will try to educate the consumer and spend a lot of time and effort educating. But some retailers will say, I can't compete, I can't live. I too have to sell EGL Internationals. I too have to sell overgraded reports. It's going to happen. So what happens is that when you have a situation where some people don't play fair, the people that play fair, they get punished. They get under stress. They get problems. So we have to understand that the consequences of allowing this kind of activity in the diamond industry is destroying or threatening the existence of the good people. Bad situations are hurting good people in the industry, and in some instances, convincing them that they too have to become sellers of overgraded diamonds. So this is like a cancer growing. This is like something that's bad in the industry that then infects other people in the industry and then gets other people in the industry to also become sellers of overgraded diamonds so that they can survive and so that they can compete. That's an unintended consequence. And what it's called is, it's called an unlevel playing field. The sale of EGL International grading reports that are overgraded creates an unlevel playing field in the diamond industry. And by the way, if we're on the subject, it's not just these overgraded diamonds. Let's say someone bribes a minister in Africa, gets their rough diamonds 30% cheaper, and now competes in the polished market. Here you go, unlevel playing field. United States citizens are not allowed to bribe foreign officials, and I guess in other countries, not only can you bribe foreign officials, you can get a tax write-off for the bribe. So this issue of unlevel playing field is a bigger issue than just the story about EGL International or overgraded diamond reports, but here you can see it straight on at the retail level. How is a legitimate, honest, ethical jeweler to compete against a neighbor who sells overgraded diamonds? And some people say we shouldn't be doing this video, we shouldn't be writing articles, we shouldn't be talking about this because merely raising the story about overgraded diamonds is going to ruin Christmas, people will buy less diamonds. And I think that we have an ethical responsibility as the diamond trade to let the consumer know that he should be careful not to buy overgraded diamonds, specifically before Christmas. Bottom line is the trade is at risk here, and it is possible that we are going to get into a situation where consumers are simply going to say, show me the money. And if the trade can't show them the money, it'll just become a bigger and bigger crisis. Now, there was a question about, well, you've got this EGL International, what about the other EGLs? What about them? Why are you, Mr. Rapaport, taking these people off of RapNet? Their gradings are within a reasonable standard, and they do grade according to GIA standards. Are we throwing out the baby with the bathwater, good EGLs, bad EGLs? And I want to say that consumer confusion is unacceptable here. Enough already. You want to confuse them about the color of the diamond, the clarity of the diamond, the standard of the diamond, the language about the diamond. That's bad enough. But now you want to tell them, let's see. We have here EGL International, EGL Israel, EGL USA, EGL Hong Kong, EGL China, EGL India, EGL Israel, EGL Turkey, EGL Canada, EGL Miami, EGL Platinum, and EGL Antwerp. And you want to tell me, and they're grading with different standards, a lot of them. And new EGLs pop up like mushrooms. And you want to tell me that all these EGLs are okay and people will be able to differentiate between the different standards of the EGLs? No, sir. Unacceptable. So there's another interesting question here. If the Rapaport Group's position is that if you're going to use GIA terminology, you have to use GIA standards, how do we justify having SI3 on the grading report? I think this issue needs to be understood. First of all, if we want to ask the question, is it okay to add things to a GIA grading report? For example, you would like to say, this GIA grading report, it's an F, it's a VS, but it's a black imperfection. It's an eye clean stone. It's a brown tint. The inclusions are in the center rather than on the side. There's no problem with that. We see many companies who wish to sell diamonds over the internet, and even if they allow their customers to return the stones, they want to reduce the returns. They're selling them from India to California or wherever have you. And in those instances, these companies do add information. Now, the holy grail of RapNet is to get to the point where people can buy diamonds without having to see them because the information provided is sufficient so they know exactly what they're getting even before they get it. And there's no disappointments, there's no buyer's remorse when they actually look at the stone. So adding information to a GIA grading report is certainly acceptable. And so why does Rapaport use SI3 on our price list? Well, first of all, the diamond trade has its way of doing things. And with all due respect to the GIA, people do grade diamonds as SI3 and they need to have some idea about prices. And we specify SI3 as an intermediate grade between SI2 and I1. And some people have said, well, Rapaport, you're against the idea of laboratory competition, you're only for the GIA, and that's not true. First of all, we respect and we really thank the GIA for creating the language that we use in the diamond trade to describe diamonds, and also for backing that language up with a standard and backing the standard up with a laboratory. But the GIA doesn't own the language, which means other people can and should use it all the time. The GIA is a nonprofit organization which promotes other people using the language that they have created for the diamond industry. What they do control is the standards that apply to the language. That should be clear. Having said that, every laboratory in the world that is legitimate, that wants to compete, should do so. Competition is good. They should grade to GIA standards using GIA terminology and compete. Charge lower prices, give faster delivery time, do whatever you want to do. It's good. Rapaport's position is that competition for this industry is good. We encourage it, and there's no problem with everybody coming up with whatever competition as long as they don't miscommunicate, as long as they don't misrepresent and use GIA terminology with another grading standard.